Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this Q Associates live event. My name is Jerry Allen, and I'm the Director of Cloud and Network Services here at Q Associates. So the format of the event today is that we're going to be talking about SharePoint Online. I'll be presenting for about 15 to 20 minutes, and I've also opened up the Q&A as well. So if you do have any questions, please do ask them during the live event, and I'll do my best to answer those as we go along this morning. So what do we mean by SharePoint Online? So SharePoint Online is an integral part of Microsoft's 365 suite. It's a complete replacement for the on-premise SharePoint system that's existed for a number of years. And really at Q, we see it breaking down into two main areas. What we call the content delivery platform, which is where we develop intranets and deliver shared content across the whole organization. And then the document management platform, which we really see as a replacement for your file server infrastructure, which you've got on-prem traditionally. So with that file server infrastructure, there can be some confusion sometimes about where to put those documents into SharePoint Online or within Microsoft 365. So the way that we recommend that you deal with this at Q is that you take the personal drives, like the U drive, for example, in the old file server world, and you move those to OneDrive for Business. Everybody that's got a Microsoft 365 license gets 1 terabyte allocation in OneDrive for Business, so that's plenty for all of those personal documents. And you can also redirect the known folders like My Documents and Desktops to that area as well. Then what we would do next is take the company-wide documents, what we call the worm documents, the write once, read many type documents, so processes and procedures, and we'd integrate those into the main intranet, so the company intranet, and then the rest of the documents, which are your secure shares or file server areas in the old world, they would be migrated to teams. So we'd create a team structure to accommodate all of those documents, and then migrate all of the documents across to those SharePoint Online sites that sit behind Teams. And then Teams would be the main user interface for accessing and working on those documents. So if we look at the content delivery part first, this is really where we're looking to build a customized intranet site with your branding and your look and feel. And as you know, out of the box, SharePoint Online can be augmented with templates, with third-party apps, both from Microsoft and from third parties via the marketplace. So I've got a question coming in already. So do we still support SharePoint on-prem as well? Yes, we absolutely do. We've been working with SharePoint for a number of years now. So we're happy to support you in an on-prem world, in a cloud-only world, or in a hybrid world. You know, as people have got significant investments in SharePoint on-prem, they'll normally start with a hybrid world first and then move to the cloud-only over a period of time. So we're happy to help you with all three of those scenarios. But as I was alluding to there, so the out-of-the-box experience for SharePoint Online is actually quite dull and boring. And you know, it's very difficult to get your employees to engage with this out-of-the-box experience. You know, it's just not that engaging or exciting. So what comes out of the box, and can it be customized easily? Yeah, well, so I was just touching on that. So the out-of-the-box experience is what I'm showing you here on this slide, and it's, you know, it's not really where we want to be. So yes, it can be customized, and there's a number of ways that we can do that, either by adding templates and or adding configuration and branding and other sort of richer content to make the site much more engaging. So yeah, absolutely can be done. And on the next slide, we'll show you what the sorts of things we're looking to achieve. This is where we're trying to get to, where we've got a much richer and engaging experience. We've got a consistent look and feel of brand across the whole company intranet. So even if you create department portals within the overall company intranet, say for HR or finance, then that look and feel and branding is consistent across all of those sites. We also, at this stage, want to make sure that the security is in place so that only nominated people within each department can maintain the content, or perhaps somebody in HR or internal communications looking after the overall company-wide content. And then we're also looking to bring in, that rich third-party content or advanced configuration, things like org charts and videos and documents. And then third-party feeds such as weather feeds and news feeds to make the site more dynamic as well as engaging. And there's also about another 1,000+ marketplace apps that you can add in to enhance the look and feel of the content. And so I've got another question. Thank you for all these questions. It's really helpful. How long does it take to create an intranet? So that's a really good question. It's almost how long is a piece of string question, isn't it? But on a serious note, yeah, it's a great question, because what we'd recommend here at Q is that you engage with us early in the process, and that we help you build the foundational piece. So get that consistent look and feel, all the security controls, all of the structural stuff in place. And we'll help you do that through what we call an MVP program or a minimum viable product. And we'd typically be looking to build about 10 to 12 pages in that MVP initiative. And typically that would take us about 10 to 15 days of professional services on our side, and probably a similar commitment from yourselves in the various stakeholder communities on your side. So 10 to 15 days on each side from Q and from your company. I think we can get a good foundation in place and actually get something rolled out that people can engage with, and that would be then the foundation. From that point onwards, you can then look to take that forward yourselves, or we can continue to work with you. That's entirely up to you, and we're flexible both ways. Happy to take a step back whenever is right for you, or happy to stick with you on the journey if necessary. So that's a very quick overview of the intranet, or the content delivery side. The other key area of SharePoint Online obviously is the document management platform. And we're really seeing this as a complete replacement for your file server infrastructure. Not as a big bang, probably over time. Again, as we touched on earlier, starting with OneDrive for Business, first of all, and get those personal drives or U drives away from the local file server infrastructure. And then as we build that SharePoint Online intranet portal, that's a great place for all of the company-wide documents, both in the company-wide section and in the department portals, all the policies and procedures that need to be disseminated across the whole organisation. And then, as I said earlier, there's secure areas or secure shares. They'll probably best sit in Teams. And end users using Teams as the main interface to get to those documents. But regardless of where we store those documents, all of this functionality is available. And also you can apply the same data governance policies and backup policies across all of the documents as well. So if you're using a third-party Microsoft 365 backup product, we've talked previously about things like Rubrik and Veritas and NetApp backup products. We can make sure that they back up all of the SharePoint libraries, irrespective of where they're stored. And we can also apply the same data governance policies across all of the documents, and your Exchange Online environment as well. So normally what we do is combine a SharePoint Online project with a labeling piece as well. So I've got a question coming in, which I think on this subject, let me just read the question. So it says, are there any security considerations about confidential data? Yeah, so I was just seeing that question. That's just what I was coming on to. So labeling your documents appropriately using the labeling within Microsoft 365. So any very sensitive documents can be labeled as confidential or internal only. And then we can apply data loss prevention policies combined with those labels to make sure documents can't be shared outside of the organisation if the data governance policy is that they shouldn't be shared. So we can make sure all those data loss prevention policies are applied across the whole estate, and that would apply to documents and email, but relevant to the documents at the moment in this piece. So the other area that's worth a mention in SharePoint Online is the lists functionality. So I see this as a nice bridge between, say, an Excel spreadsheet where you've traditionally kept track of things like change requests or other tracker type functions, and a full-blown business application. So if you haven't got a full-blown business application to do these things, then SharePoint lists are a good alternative and a cheaper alternative to do that, and more functionally rich than say an Excel spreadsheet, because we can add automation to lists to notify people when new items are added, for example. That sort of functionality would be very difficult to do through an Excel spreadsheet. So all those Excel spreadsheets, let's get them into SharePoint lists and add a bit of automation. That's normally a quick win for a number of areas. And similarly, with Microsoft Forms, again, can be integrated into SharePoint Online. So we're seeing a lot of people using Microsoft Forms at the moment in their SharePoint sites to keep in touch with their remote workforce. So HR are doing a lot of work typically to engage with that remote workforce and keep in touch with them and get some feedback from them. And Forms are a great way of doing that. And then that forms data can be compiled into lists where we can add that automation piece and analyze the data that's being captured through the forms. And as we touched on a couple of times there as well, there's the Power Automate, which is part of the Power Platform and Power Apps suite of products. So there's a whole host of functionality in the Power Platform that we can cover in another live event. But for today, just to mention that Power Automate can be completely integrated into SharePoint Online. Both the content delivery platform and the document platform. We had an example recently where a customer asked us to move documents to an archive folder if they hadn't been accessed for over 90 days. So after 90 days, they were moved to an archive folder, and then the primary folder where the documents originally resided, that was nice and clean and tidy and just had the most relevant and up-to-date documents. So that was a great use case for Power Automate. So how much does this cost? Well, the good news is that if you've got a Microsoft 365 subscription, then it's already included. All of the Microsoft 365 subscriptions, whether you're on an enterprise subscription or an academic subscription, the SharePoint Online functionality, as well as the Teams and OneDrive that we discussed, will all be included in that subscription. And with that comes some storage quota as well. So as well as the 1 terabyte OneDrive that everybody gets, you also get another terabyte plus 10 gig for each licensed user for that shared content across SharePoint Online and Teams as well. That's more than enough usually for an intranet or a content delivery project. If you are going to look at migrating all of your file server data as well, then you might need some additional storage quota to achieve that, and you can buy that per gigabyte. And what I'm showing you here is the price per terabyte for that file server quota. So that's been a whistle-stop tour of SharePoint Online. The areas that we've covered is the main use cases for SharePoint Online being content delivery and document management. We talked about access controls and security. You know, that integration with Azure AD is key. So you've probably already put the effort into securing your Azure Active Directory with conditional access rules and multi-factor authentication and all of the other policies that you've got there in Azure AD. And then those will apply to SharePoint Online and Teams just as they would apply to any other Microsoft 365 service. And then we also talked about data retention and data loss prevention and backup, and how that those policies and security controls again can be applied across all of the documents stored in SharePoint Online and all of the content. And then we touched briefly on automation as well. So it's really by adding automation and workflows that the business really starts to get some benefit out of that SharePoint Online content. So adding automation, we see that as a really key part of the process. Cool. So I can't see any other questions at the moment. So that's the end of that for today. I appreciate that was a whistle-stop tour, and we've only covered a few high-level points today in this SharePoint Online event. So if you do think of any other questions after this event, or you want to go into your particular requirements in a bit more detail, we'd love to engage with you on a more one-to-one basis to drill down into the detail. So in either scenario, please do reach out to us at sharepoint@qassociates.co.uk, and we'll get back to you. As always, this live event will be published to our YouTube channel and be available on our website later today. But that just leaves me to say thank you very much for listening today, and enjoy the rest of your day. Many thanks. Bye for now.